Alright guys, this is Norval Central coming back at you with another YouTube video. I really appreciate all the love and support so far that you have on my YouTube videos so far. And man, Florida State recruiting is back on a red hot streak at this point. Florida State's done a tremendous job, especially in the 2026 class, and recruiting has done, like as best as you would think coming off a 2-10 season at this point. Now, Florida State actually did get a commitment. I wasn't able to record by the time it was able to come in and everything, but they were able to get four-star defensive back Jay Timmons. His last name actually might sound a little bit familiar because his father, Lawrence, actually played linebacker at Florida State and was a pretty good linebacker prospect at Florida State. So, super excited to see that we got another legacy commit in the class. And then you also got a guy like Antonio Camardi as well that he talked so highly about his dad coming to Florida State and why he chose Florida State. I just think it's very cool to see some of those guys come in and just have that effect on everybody. So, really excited to see what Florida State's going to do going forward there. But having him and then Noah LaValle as well with Caleb playing at Florida State this year is going to be super exciting to see what's going to happen in the future with them. But coming back to Surtain and also with Evan Cooper as well, is the defensive back recruiting has been very, very good at Florida State. They haven't really taken a back seat. Florida State's always been kind of considered as that DBU type of conversation with most of the universities around. Obviously, you can say Florida State's the DBU, or you can say another school's defensive back U as well. But overall, I think Florida State is going to continue to get quality defensive backs as long as he's in the coaching staff at this point. But really, Chauncey Kenning is another guy, the five-star cornerback, who is going to hopefully be deciding July 6th. Might be deciding a little bit sooner, but Kenning's going to be a very, very good prospect for Florida State. It's been crystal ball to Florida State at this point. And I definitely think that Florida State's got the upper advantage there. Overall, Derek Ray, the GM for Florida State, has mentioned on social media that there could be some more good news coming up pretty soon. I wonder what's going to happen with that because I do think Florida State's got 19 prospects right now. They're ranked number 9th in the 247 composite rankings. And I really like where Florida State stands with a lot more commitments that they have. They're going to take a larger class because obviously there's a 105 scholarship limit. But I want to see what Florida State kind of comes up with in terms of like what they're going to do, especially in the trenches, because I do think they need some help more on the offensive line. They need a couple more defensive ends, and then also maybe a linebacker or two. I think can be really good. I think you're pretty set at wide receiver unless you want to go after a big name. You got your quarterback for the future. You got your running back for the future. Jay Lamar just committed over to Georgia, so I think that's going to be kind of something to watch out for with Florida State and what they're going to be featuring in their halfbacks. Maybe they offer a couple more guys to see what they can get to stick. You got a guy like Tadarius Hughes who's also entertaining the idea of Syracuse, so we'll see what happens in that recruitment. But I think Jacoby Green was a phenomenal get for Florida State in terms of an interior guy that dominates interior and dominates his opponents, really. I mean, his whole film is just nothing but pancakes at this point. So I really like what Florida State's been doing, especially in the trenches. They need to get a little bit more, though. I don't think the class is even remotely finished at this point, and they also need to win on the field. Obviously, this recruiting class is doing a great job so far, but if you're not winning on the field, it may not translate to anything. So Florida State's going to really, really have to hone in on being able to get at least 8, 9 wins. I know 8 or 9 wins is not the standard at Florida State. I understand that. The standard is winning championships. You were basically 12-0, and then you won the conference championship game to get to 13-0. You were snubbed out of the playoff, and obviously you saw what happened in the bowl game against Georgia. But Florida State and the program expectations here have not changed. Florida State should be at the top of the top. They should be a top 10 program in college football. Problem is, you had a rebuilding roster last year. You went 2-10. You didn't do what you needed to do. So while you can criticize and hate on Mike Norvell for whatever it is and for whatever it's worth, I do think that Mike Norvell is given another chance to be able to prove that this is just an outlier of a season. Obviously, I'm not going to make excuses for that. He made his own excuses for being able to go in the transfer portal, not evaluate very well in the high school recruiting side of things. So I think you're kind of making up lost time for that and being able to recruit effectively now. And I think Florida State is going to see a much better product on the field in 2025. Overall, though, I don't want to get too much on a tangent for the recruits and how it pertains to this upcoming season in the 2025 season. But I do like where Florida State's going with their recruiting class. Super excited to see what Jay Timmons is going to do for this recruiting class because the defensive backs are going to be stacked, especially if you get Kennan in the class. And I'm super excited to see what Florida State recruiting is going to do in the future. But I hope each and every one of you have a great rest of the day. And as always, go Noles.